everybody, my name is Nicola and I am simply a stitcher. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to do a stitch with me and I have this lovely piece. It is called She Sleeps and the artwork is by Stephanie Pui-Mun Law, chartered by Heaven and Earth Designs. And if you've seen my recent floss tube, you'll know it's a recent start of mine, and I am just 0.67% in on this piece so far. So yeah, so we're going to crack on and get on and do a little stitch with me and have a little conversation while we go. Just find my first colour. So I hope everybody is well. I have had a tiring few weeks, a tiring couple of weeks. But all being well, we're coming sort of towards the end of that now. So, I'll tell you what's been happening in my world. So you may remember, if you've seen a couple of floss tubes ago, I said that I'd already sort of filmed my Stitch With Me videos for the following week, which would have been last week, so I just would have had a floss tube to film. And the reason for that is that we had 2 additional visitors during the week. So Andy's 2 children came and spent the week with us. Now, because I have a small house, well, I say small, it is a fairly small house. It's a 3-bedroom house, and in terms of sleeping arrangements, Andy and I have the medium-sized bedroom, and 2 of the girls have the biggest bedroom, and there's a bunk in there. And then Lauren has the little bedroom. So, you know, it sleeps 5 and then the cat goes wherever she pleases. Apart from my bedroom, I don't let her in my room. And Andy's ex-wife had asked quite a while back now if we could look after the children for Easter week, and we said yeah, okay, not a problem. Now the difficulty is I don't have 2 spare beds, so when the children come and stay, what normally happens is Andy and I sleep downstairs, and I've got sofas with sort of big cushions that almost, it's not a sofa bed, but they, you know, near as damn it turn into the nearest damn it turn into a sofa bed for us. So, you know, we sleep downstairs. It's not the most comfortable thing to do, and given that I am shall I say, a big lady, I'm not little by any stretch of the imagination, and my bed has a memory foam mattress on it, so it's very comfortable. and it supports me, and it supports my joints and things. And like I said, I'm not the littlest of ladies, and I do have, excuse me, difficulty sometimes, you know, with my joints. I do. I mean, I'm 48. I'm starting to feel my age a little bit. Sleeping on the floor for a couple of nights, which is where it normally would be. We'd normally have them sort of Friday tea time, and then they'd go home, and Sunday tea time. A couple of nights is generally speaking is not a problem. Let me just move the camera a little bit. But for a whole week, it got to a point that it was painful. And I woke up every day in literal pain. And it was most unpleasant, I have to say. So we had a week of this. And Andy and I are not late to bed, you know, normally sort of 9:30, 10 o'clock in the evening. We're not late. I mean, we both work, and we do like to sort of be, you know, rested enough. And, you know, we get up in the morning, especially when it's half term, we do like it because we get that little bit of time before children sort of start to make an appearance. If it was just my three and none of them had plans the following day, we might not see them until sort of 9 o'clock, as normally is what happens on a Sunday. Now, obviously it was school holidays, but the children were still wide awake at sort of 7:30, which I know is not terribly early. And then, you know, but when it sort of come to the point that I needed sleep, because the sleep I was having was quite broken. Normally when we turn over in bed at night, we don't feel it, we don't know that it's happening. It's just like an automatic bodily thing. But as we were sleeping downstairs, it felt very different. So turning over at night, you woke up to turn over, because it took a lot more effort, you know, with it as not being on a lovely king-size memory foam bed. We kind of squished onto some sofa cushions. It's not much bigger than a single bed, and, you know, it was quite difficult. So as a result, lots of broken sleep. The children, as they were here, we did our best to make sure that they were occupied, and every day they went somewhere, even if it was, you know, just to the supermarket. But we did notice a lot of differences, because they primarily spend their time with their mum. Notice a lot of differences between them and our girls, or my girls, should I say. Things like, when we went to the supermarket, the expectation was that they were going to get some money to spend. Well, no, we go to the supermarket so that we can all eat. And things cost a lot more these days anyway. Now, in terms of my supermarket shopping, I tend to try and get the best value for my money. And it was like, well, why are we not having brands? Well, the simple reason is that we can't afford to have brands. If we want to have enough, you know, to feed everybody. We live on a budget, we plan our meals, and we shop according to that plan, and it's that simple. And you know, I mean, my girls were getting a little bit irritated, I think, as well, by sort of later on in the week, because the children were like constantly, you know, they'd see the girls pass by, or one of them pass by, and it'd be, well, where are you going? Where are you going? What are you doing? What are you getting? Like, you know, they were missing out on something. And I think it did irritate, you know, one or two of the girls that they were constantly being asked these questions. And I think it's not easy when you've got a blended family like ours, you know. I mean, there's 5 children between the two of us. We spend time with all of them in various guises. But you can, you know, tell. And don't get me wrong, I'm not disparaging their mum at all. But you can tell that there are differences, you know, between, you know, the two sets of children. So it was a tough week, and you know, his son spent, you know, a fair bit of time playing on his Xbox, which is fine. His daughter spent sort of time playing on a phone, but like I said, they did go out sort of daily. You know, went to parks, went shopping. We went to IKEA one of the days. I like IKEA. I didn't go out every day because, yeah, I was working, and we were fortunate because with it being the run up to Easter, I only work Monday to Thursday. I don't work bank holidays. So by the time Thursday came around, I was, you know, and I actually said to Andy, I'm quite glad I'm not working tomorrow. So on the Friday, which was Good Friday, Andy left at sort of 9 o'clock to take the children home. And I was just really tired, really drained all day long. And I needed to do some stitching, but I wanted to do something that was easy for me, as it were. So on that day, I decided not to work on my Yorkshire map because I'm on needle. Because it can be heavy going. There are handwritten symbols on it which don't make it an easy pattern to read. Had a great suggestion on the back of my floss tube yesterday from one of my Instagram friends, and I don't know why I didn't think of this. She said, why don't you just take a photograph of it and then, you know, have it on your tablet or whatever and sort of blow it up so you can see. And I thought, do you know what, that's brilliant. I don't know why I didn't think of that. So on Friday when they went home, I just got my Aframov piece out, my 2/1 stitch, because it's row by row. I can't go wrong on it, and I just stitched my way through the day and actually put in 2,500 tent stitches, which was, you know, quite a phenomenal amount, really. So I felt like I'd made a good big chunk of progress on it, and I'm kind of half tempted to dedicate one day a weekend to it, or perhaps sort of, you know, do it on, you know, when I do get a bank holiday and we've got a number coming up, is sit and tent stitch on that piece. I mean, we've got bank holidays coming up because we've got the early May bank holiday, the late May bank holiday, and in between we've got one for the King's coronation. So maybe I can take advantage of that time. So this one is effectively like an Easter start, because I started it on Easter Monday. I've been wanting to do a new start for a little while, but I kept saying I'll finish one before I start another, but no. I haven't finished one yet, although Polar Bear and Cub is not far away. It's not a million miles away. I think after yesterday's stitch on that, I'm up to about 88%, which is quite good. So yeah, but this one's been calling to me for a little while. So Good Friday, the children went home. So on Easter Saturday, did I do anything? Popped out to the supermarket, got a few bits and bobs, and I have a conservatory in which I keep my cones of thread and my bolts of fabric. And we decided to have a clear out because our conservatory is a bit like a dump ground, and if it doesn't belong anywhere, we just usually between us, we're all guilty of it. Or just pop it in conservatory, it'll be alright. Or pop it in conservatory for now, we'll look at it later. Guess what doesn't happen? So we decided to have a bit of a clear out in there for a couple of reasons. First of all, because it needed it. Just drink some coffee. And secondly, to create some additional space. Middle child is something of an artist and wanted a light and airy space that she can go in and do artwork. So conservatory, perfect. So the table that I have in there, which I used to use to do my kitchen, has now become her art space. So we got on and did that, and we took 3 carloads of rubbish to the dump. When I say rubbish, there wasn't really any rubbish. It was just clutter and stuff that we no longer needed, that nobody else could need, and a million pairs of shoes that the children no longer wear. So we took those along to the dump and got rid, and we now have an organised space in there, and I will be going through the house and doing the same in other rooms where I can as well. So then Easter Sunday we took a trip to go to see Andy's mum and dad, my mum-in-law and father-in-law, down in Lincolnshire, so an hour or so down the motorway. Across the bridge, through some picturesque little villages. And then we ended up at their village, which was quite nice. And we went and had Easter Sunday dinner with Carol and Trevor. And a very nice Easter Sunday dinner it was too. We all came home stuffed, and we had a lovely day, and it was just nice to sort of see them and spend some time with them, and just have a chat and catch up, because I've not seen them since Christmas. And you know, had a mooch around Carol's garden, and you know, she's a wonderful gardener, and you know, very green fingered, and grows vegetables and things as well, which I can't do. Yeah, but she's very skilled at it. And we had a great time, and the girls went off and had a walk, and you know, for sort of 4 hours or so of time out, it was just super. Really enjoyed it. Going down to see my in-laws is not the trauma it used to be when I was married to my ex-husband, because my ex-mother-in-law and we didn't really get along. I was never good enough, and I get that that's a mum thing. Nobody's ever good enough for your son. But there's a difference between 3772. I don't got any of that. I found a colour I haven't got. 3772. Can't put that one in then, can I? Anyway, 3782. My ex-mum-in-law made it very clear to my face that I wasn't good enough for her son. Whereas Carol, whether or not she thinks that or not, I don't know, because you know, Carol is always pleasant and polite and really wonderful. So if she doesn't like me, I wouldn't know. So Easter Monday, out came this as a new start, and I just had a lovely day of stitching. And you know, that makes me happy. I'm not one of those people that has to go out somewhere. I get an itch sometimes to go out, you know. I like to be, you know, out and about, but I don't, it's not imperative. So because of sorting out the conservatory, it gave me an opportunity to look through my fabrics, and I was picking up a piece of 18 count for this, but unfortunately it wasn't big enough, because this pattern is about 3 times bigger than what I thought it was. So I got out something different for me, So this fabric is a 20 count aida, Zweigart aida, and it's an easy count. But there's an easy count. I was trying to explain this on my floss tube yesterday. There's easy count and there's easy count. 25 count easy count, the grid lines are over one of the strands. So you either, for me, you either start your block at the top left over the grid line strand and finish on sort of the bottom right of the block before your grid line strand, grid line, that's wrong, grid line block, or you know, with this one, the grid line is on the holes, not on the strand, not on the aida block. Because it's on the holes between the two blocks, it's easier to see. Just check on Realm of Middle Earth and make sure, see if I've got this 3772 in there. Yeah, I've got some 3772 in Realm of Middle Earth, but I'll have to get up and get that in a bit. It looks like I do need some 3772. Must be a popular colour. There's lots of browns, sort of grey browns and beiges in the top of this. It's quite a right, let's talk about a few comments that I've had. Now, as you'll all be aware, I am screening the comments to get rid of the spammers, but all comments do get published, unless it's something really, really bad, and I haven't had that yet. So, in my floss tube yesterday, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. I'll make sure there's either a card on the end screen or one up in the top right. When I was showing my stitching shelf, I saw in it what looked like a cat's face, and a couple of people have actually come back and said yes, they can see the cat's face too, so I know I'm not going nuts, which is good. It may have been put there intentionally, it may not, but you know, I can just see it. And if it's been put there intentionally, then it's fantastic. It's like a hidden feature in the pattern. So yeah, a couple of people have already mentioned that they can see the cat's face. What else have I had? What size needles do I use? Well, I'm not picky. If it feels right going through the fabric, I'll use it. There's no sort of set needle size that I use. I mean, I've got some John Jameses. I've got 24 24s, 26s and 28s, I think they are. But I've usually got a couple of needle minders with needles sort of parked on them. And, you know, if it's like a 14 count and it's 2 strands, I'll probably use a slightly thicker needle. Don't ask me what size, I won't have a clue. And if it's a 1 strand piece, I'll use a finer needle. Although I do wish sometimes that needles were a bit longer. I haven't been able to find any long length. I've been able to find petite, short length needles, but not a longer length needle. And I do like I had a needle, oh, a long time ago. You know when you kind of get a favourite needle? And it was a longer needle than, I mean, this one that I'm using is, so if you just put it against my needle minder, which is sort of a standard button, you know, the size you get from Pain Free, or get, you know, the smaller size one that you get from Gecko Rouge. It's just about the width. But this one that I had was longer than this. It would have perhaps come out to about here. And I don't know, I can't remember if I lost it or if I broke it. It came out of a kit and I was absolutely devastated because it was just such a nice needle to use. I don't tend to get problems with bent or broken needles. It's not to say that I haven't had them, because I have, but it's very rare. So whatever I'm using is tough enough to withstand the rigours of my stitching. So find my next colour. Let's see what else we've had in comments. Looks like the new frame is working nicely. Yes, it is. And because I've sort of rolled it so I'm stitching in the ditch, I can park my scissors in it and even my tablet in it, and it doesn't make a difference. And it just feels nice. And that sounds silly, but there it is. It just feels nice. I found that obviously because it's a wide piece, that the more I tighten the bars, they kind of bow a little bit inwards, but that's perfectly normal. And I'm sure that when I take stitching shelf off it eventually, that they will spring back. So a comment as well from Sharon has reminded me that I do need to do an unboxing video of the Gecko Rouge kit I got at Christmas. It's just sat behind me. And I've been that sort of taken up with other projects. I've not even looked at it. So I really must get on with that. one or two people saying that, you know, that they're amazed at how much stitching I get through. Well, yeah, I stitch every second that I can. Don't mind saying I am stitching obsessed. Do it on my breaks, do it on my meal break, do it before work, get up early, go to bed late, stitch all day where I can. All the things. Oh. A few comments about Cat, and she did our her cameo appearance in my floss tube last week, only because she was hungry and she was having a meow at me. She is very cute. She's a pain in the bum, because if she wants feeding, she won't leave me alone. She won't come to me any other time, only when she wants feeding. But that's the nature of having a cat, eh? Put out my first ASMR video and it was fairly well received. Lots of views. And, you know, again, you know, a number of comments about the stitch with me's, but as I said, I'm sticking with my format now. A chatty, an ASMR, and an alternative, in that order. So this is the chatty, the next one coming up will be an ASMR, and then after that there will be an alternative, and then after that there'll be a chatty, and so on and so on. Ooh, come on through. Why is that needle not coming through? Anybody else get that stuck needles? I'm doing a little bit of overtime this week, so I will be set. Can't even speak. I will be shortly ending this video because I will have to go and get set up to start work. An hour of queue work before the phone lines open, which is nice. I tend to either be on phones or, well, there's three things that I do at work. I either words. I either speak to people, or I go on our live chat service, or I do some queue work. And obviously, because the lines and live chat are only open 9 to 5, then those are for the main part of the day. Queue work, you know, it's okay because I can get that in on overtime. But like every company, overtime is only offered at certain times. It's not a guarantee, so I have to take it when it's offered. But an hour a day doesn't take anything out of my day, if that makes sense. Because, to be fair, I could spend an extra hour sorting out a couple of bits and pieces to do with work that I'm not on the clock for, so. But yeah, I should be doing 8 hours of overtime this week, which is equivalent of an extra day. We got a little bit busier because even though the phone lines are open, business still comes in via an online system. So numbers are up, which is a good sign. Ouch. Notice as well, just lately, I am pricking my fingers an awful lot. My hands, my fingers and thumbs are like pin cushions. And I do notice I do it a lot when I'm tired. So that's as well how I knew that, you know, I was getting tired over the weekend. Because every so often Andy just, you know, would be sat in the corner because he sits over that side of me. And he'd just hear this, ouch. Because yet again I'd managed to stab myself. So sore fingers has been the order of the weekend. I'm going to do this thread and then I'm going to end this video. As I said, I have got to get ready for work. I am doing this the typewriter method, although you'll see me starting some of these strands away from the sort of upper leftmost stitch. Usually it's because I want to find the best path to stitch that particular colour. So that I don't have an excessively long thread trail at the back. But as you can see, we have filled in a few gaps on this. Not done many. 20 count 2 over 1, it's not as easy to push the needle through, so it is a little bit harder. And I am using a fairly fine needle. I'm using the finest one I can get away with, and still comfortably thread 2 strands through. So So there you have it. Just a nice sort of gentle 45 minutes. I've done about 120 stitches. I'll get the final tally in a minute. But as I say, I've got some threads I need to find, a couple of threads I need to find for this one by the look. Just looking at the pattern and talkings. That's why I'm good at doing these stitches, means if I've got something to fill in rather than trying to look, because some days multitasking's easy and other days it's just it's hard. Okay, let's have a final tally. $125. So come on, out you come. 125 stitches, so you can see obviously where I've put in there. That's going to annoy me, so the next job is to go and find a 3772 and fill that in. But yeah, so that's it for this stitch with me. As I said, the next one will be an ASMR. So if you like this video, fabulous, give it a thumbs up, make a comment, and you know, if you haven't seen some of the others, then do go back, watch another video. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so before you leave today. You can also follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. The information is in the box below, as well as information about this pattern. So other than that, I am off. Take care, happy stitching, thanks for watching, and bye bye for now, everybody.